Hey YouTube, welcome back to Love for Crypto. So I'm just going to do a little update video, few little pieces of information that have come out today. So I'm just going to have a little run through the Twitter page really. I mean, if you don't follow us on Twitter, obviously follow us on Twitter because, you know, we spend a lot of our time in it. When we're not making the videos, we are quite active on the Twitter. Just a first thing to begin with, obviously Rachel Lee. A little post here from Ripple 2017. And obviously as it states here, we remain more committed than ever to the simple goal of making XRP the world reserve digital currency. Now obviously for people who do follow, fuck's sake, for people who do follow ourselves, Love for Crypto, well, obviously you can actually see it here actually. The global reserve currency. Now obviously I know that's saying a digital reserve currency. It just shows the direction where this technology is, and you know, it's specifically exactly what it's intended to do in the long term. It is to act as that global reserve bridge currency for the digital realm, so to speak. I mean, yeah, you ought to give us a little like and a retweet for that there. You know, obviously this is our long term prediction. We're not expecting this next year, fucking in the next 3 years or whatever. You know, this is a long term, you know, 2025, 2030 time frame that we see this to this extent. It's not to say the price won't go up at all from there. We will see the price moving, but you know, this is our end game vision of what we thought. This was back in July, not long after we did our get ready for a one world currency video, where my fucking mind was fried alive. So yeah, just a little touch up on that. I found that quite amusing there. I seen this here with I don't even know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. But FlashX to phase out Swift payments network, technically using RippleNet. No, it's not exactly the best piece of information, you know, for credibility, for a reliable source, but I can vouch for this person. He's not one for just putting out bullshit, is a good way of putting it. But as you can see there, and eventually we will enable off-ledger payments, increase our range of currencies and destinations, and phase out traditional FX liquidity and payment distribution. That's... You know, when we talk about Ripple and XRP and what it's intending to do, you know, we hear a lot about XRapid, but as Brad Garnoff has stated again, his prediction for this year is banks will hold XRP on balance sheets, and I think we will start slowly and gradually start seeing that shift away from the traditional nostro vostro sort of banking corresponding network that we use today. And you know, I hate to be repetitive, but sometimes it's hard not to be in this space. But you know, if you're, you know, a bank in England and you're serving to 30 nations, and you have to have, you know, currencies pre-positioned all over the world, you know, you've got the risk mitigation that you've got to take into consideration, currency devaluations. You know, there is an actual risk of holding another fiat currency which isn't your own. You know, for example, you know, I always use the example of the Turkish lira. If in 2017 you had £1 million. And then by the end of 2018 it would have been the equivalent to 200,000. So from 1 million to 200,000, you know, it's an 8% loss. And this is, you know, it's going to be a slow nitty-gritty process, I think, long term, you know, for a full enabled internet of value, where they're not using these traditional sort of layout structures that was designed in 1970. But I think that's a great little thing. It's just the small signs that we're seeing coming towards it. There is some other stuff. I found this here from Mr. Cool Dada. Ripple CEO, possible big changes in Citibank that will generate annual profit of $8 billion annually by international transactions only. Now in regards to Ripple, you know, obviously the cost savings, you know, it is basically a fiat liquidity tool. It's not trying to replace fiat, it's trying to complement fiat. And I think, if I remember right, Santander actually put out estimations of around $5 billion that it could actually save annually, you know, by using XRP. And you know, it's... Brad Garnoff has come out and said this, discussed it. I've not actually seen this panel. I do intend on, you know, having a look over it all. There's quite a lot to go through. But, you know, Citibank, massive bank. I think the biggest contributor for cross-border payments, actually, worldwide. I think they're one of the big players in the... corresponding network anyway. So I think, you know, it's not, I'm not trying to state this as a fact, but you know, that will generate annual profit of $8 billion annually by international transactions only. It's the writing's on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. You know, how fast it happens, nobody knows. But it definitely is going to happen. This one from Bank XRP was a nice little piece. It's showing that Ripple are offering their expertise and the resources to really elevate the blockchain space, and we've got links in China here. Now we know there's plenty of links with Ripple and China. In fact, American Express, I believe, are the only credit card, debit card provider now that are allowed to. I mean, actually, just ignore that, because I don't actually know if that's the correct terminology or the specific details. But I know these, in regards to Visa and MasterCard, I believe that Amex, obviously Ripple partner, through Siam Bank, I think it is. Not Siam Bank, sorry. Oh, fucking hell. There's that many fucking companies. It's hard. It's so hard to fucking keep up with them all. But it's basically one of the mobile providers in China. I should have done a little bit more research. I just thought I'd jump on and just do a little quick fucking rundown video. This was massive for me. Again, you know, when I say massive, it don't mean that the price is going to fucking shoot up. But, you know, Temenos, combining the richest banking functionality with groundbreaking technology to deliver unprecedented speed, scalability, resilience, and innovation. Temenos launches Temenos Infinity and Temenos T24 Transact. Now we know that Ripple is fully integrated into the Temenos T24 Transact. Again, you know, just because it's available doesn't mean it's going to be used, but it's there. It's an optional payment now. You know, will it be utilised in XRP? I believe long term. You know, this is the direction we're all going to. You know, with your Temenos, your CGI, your ACI. You know, there's just too many of these abbreviations that are all doing the same thing. You know, with your SAP, and this is just another one. And it's good to see that we're actually going to be seeing the T24 Transact actually live. I think this is maybe around April time, I think this is, without actually reading, putting up the article and stuff. But, you know, we've heard a lot of stuff with the Temenos and T24, obviously with the Ripple integration. You know, just the price is slow, I'll admit, and it's stable. And honest to God, I'll probably get a bit of heat for this, but honest to God, I am honestly, and this is from the bottom of my heart, I'm actually praying that we have this stable market for the next 12 months. Honestly, I know people will be upset. People want to see results. People want to see returns. I just want to accumulate as much as I can before it exceeds a valuation where I won't be, you know, I might be pulling my face in and won't buy it at $3 to then look back in 5 years' time and think, what the fuck was I thinking? But, you know, when we've been treated with such great value and prices to actually invest into XRP, I just want it to continue. I just want to keep on accumulating, and when it goes, it'll go. But, you know, I think I'm on the patient side of the community myself. You know, you're seeing a lot of people getting upbeat. People, well, where's the bull run? And I'm honestly, honest to God, with my fingers fucking praying that we don't see the bull run this year. Yeah, of course, like I say, I'll probably get a bit of heat for it, each to their own. But I just want to keep accumulating while I can, because, you know, once you've got the long-term view, and you can, you know, really visualise exactly what is happening to the infrastructure of banking as a general. And it's a revolutionary process since 1970. You know, we're here now in 2019. It served its course. We've got the internet. We can get information on demand. It's about time we can start moving value on demand. And it's the direction we're going. And it's just these little posts I've just been showing you there. It just really, you know, it's the crawl, walk, run situation all over. As you can see, I'm not really going to go into all this. You know, we'll talk about the financial crisis and all that type of stuff. But, you know, billions in loans, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates to help out Pakistan avert a financial crisis. That's another area you've got to look at. Again, it's these emerging markets that are suffering the most. And creditors are about to give their verdicts on the state of Europe's most indebted nation. It's you know, I'm not trying to say it's tantalising. In fact, let's just see if I can pull this up here without exposing myself. So, I mean, if you watched our last live stream, you know, this was a very indicative information in regards to, you know, if you follow for crypto, you know, we talk about XRP. We're not just, you know, infatuated on XRP. We talk about traditional markets, you know, the upcoming economic slowdown. And you know, I'll just do a little rundown of this chart. You know, we're in a QT environment, supposedly. Let's say before the last interest rates sort of real bad effects on the stock market. It was in QT. So as you can see, the green line here is showing central banks offloading balance sheets. Now, bear in mind, central banks are the biggest buyer of the bonds and the stocks. You know, when the markets imploded in 2008 and we had the round of QE coming from the central banks, it was the central banks, in essence, bailing out the economy by actually obtaining the assets. So as you can see, we're in QT now. Interest rates are going up. We're offloading the balance sheet. And you can see this all the way down here. Now, a lot of people might ask, if the central banks are offloading the balance sheets here, how come we've had the continuous increase in value? This is just my own theory. from around April to September, U-turn on CNBC, and it was stock paradise. You know, it was never going to go down. It was going to continuously keep going up and up and up and up. And the mainstream media do, to a degree, manipulate people. The program, it's called a program for a reason. You know, you're being pushed information to serve a narrative. And the mainstream media is owned, you know, by... I don't want to keep going on about deep stakes. People think it's conspiracy stuff, and I don't actually give a fuck because it exists as far as I'm concerned. Nonetheless, the markets went up. Now, in October, we've seen a dramatic drop. And obviously, because we've had the unwinding of the balance sheets, there's been no flow for the stocks to bounce back, and it's just come down and down, and it's come right down. And obviously, you know, December, January was in really bad times. You know, Fed Powell, you know, originally in 2018, we're supposed to be having 4 interest rates increases. During 2019, that's now been downgraded to 2 rate hikes, and now there's actually talks of no hike increase in June. Which is supposedly the next upcoming event for the sort of the monetary policy from the Fed standpoint. So they've basically done a complete 100% U-turn. They've gone from tightening, interesting rates, offloading balance sheets, to now completely reversing the course with the interest rates by, you know, standing at a neutral to an even easing environment. And as you can see, you know, the markets have took a turn. These markets globally are addicted to quantitative easing. They are where they are at their all-time highs due to the monetary policies of the central banks globally. Now, you know, I was covering the crisis. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of time. But you do see these sharp sell-offs. You know, 1,000-point drop in the Dow. Massive losses. But look what's happened. Powell's turnaround is what's the best word of using? His sort of attitude to the rates have completely, you know, U-turn. And now we can actually see the central banks adding back to the balance sheets. Adding back. You know, people could say this is, you know, central banks buying the bottom like a pro, using mainstream narrative to keep the stocks going up and up and up. While the central banks are offloading their stocks and shares and bonds onto the unsuspected, you know, investors in the market. That's the way that I see it. I may be completely wrong, but honestly, God, it makes perfect sense to me. You've got this massive mainstream narrative push with the stocks going up and up and up, people buying into it, and the central bank's offloading the balance sheets at this point. So, you know, by the time that they've offloaded the balance sheets, the market's up at the top. The market's took a terrible turn. You know, all this doom and gloom going around. Economic crisis being echoed from everywhere, from the IMF, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve, Bank of England, the ECB. And then all of a sudden we've had this massive U-turn on the monetary policies, as far as I'm concerned, because this is not an unwind of the balance sheet. It's a clear, and you can see the volume of which they re-added to the balance sheet. So, as far as I'm aware, you know, I think, how long can they keep doing this for the central banks? What are we QE? Are we QT? You know, it's just unbelievable. The thing is as well, you know, if central banks don't increase interest rates and continue to print, you know, we are going to lose control of inflation. Or on the other hand, we either maintain inflation and keep at a steady 2%, so they say, which I don't believe. Then the stock markets are going to come down. They're going to come crashing down. Honest to God, by 50% easily, because it's all central bank money. And when they do tighten fully, there's going to be no buyers of the market, and the only reason it is where it is because of printed money, central bank issued money. The debt cycle, it's unbelievable. I just wanted to obviously do a little finish on that there. You know, I like my fucking traditional markets. I love it. I just put a little tweet out of it here. I just don't think no one gives a shit about it really, but I like to try and give fucking detailed insights of what I believe is going to be happening. So yeah, just a little rundown, a little shitty quick video. I'm going to be doing another live stream Q&A with somebody from our Telegram group. He's a lawyer, solicitor we call him in the UK, and he's got a really good insight on regulatory insights. You know, how stuff's issued through Congress, through the House. It's his profession. Now I can't really, you know, start speaking about United States legislation because I don't know. So it's going to be interesting because we're hearing a lot about these bills being pushed forward to the taxonomy tax and stuff like that, and it'll be a really interesting conversation to hear it from a professional to see maybe, you know, his time frames as how long he sees these until they're actually implemented, you know, stuff that could hold us back. It'll be good insight stuff, so I do plan on doing that. He's called Jesse the Person. His dad watches these videos, so I'll just give Jesse's dad a shout out so he's feeling good at home there, hopefully. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's just a little update. I'm going to try and keep on top of doing videos. I say this all the time and then I just go missing for 7 days. But, you know, it's crypto world. There's not a lot going on. I don't really want to be contributing to echo chambers. You know, if there's a load of hype around the topic, I don't want to come out, you know, fourth, fifth person that start talking about it. There's a lot of good people in the community that do this job. You know, CKJ, Alex Cobb, Jungle Link, DM Logic, you know, Rob Hart, all these other ones, and my man Rob Cash, obviously, my man. So I'm just going to leave it at that one there, people, yeah.